I was like surprised when I would see people leaving their handbags on the table. They would leave a table unattended and go to the restroom. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, okay, if this was South Africa, you leave your handbag on the floor. By the time you're reading a menu, your handbag is gone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 things I wish I knew before I relocated to the United States of America. I would have saved myself a lot of embarrassment, a lot of headache, and a lot of stress. Hey, what's up, lovely people? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to the family. My name is Kulani, and I come to your screen with more videos on technology, travel, and my life experiences. Before we go into today's video, I want to give you a little bit of background. So I'm South African. I relocated to the United States of America in March 2018 for work and also for change of scenery. So please note, all the things that I'm going to be saying today are my experiences. They may not be the same for the next person. They may not be the same for you. This is my experience. So I also just want to say that if you're planning to relocate to America, forget everything you saw on TV. TV is not reality, it's TV. The real America is not keeping up with the Kardashians. The first thing I wish I knew before I relocated to America is how difficult it was gonna be for me to make friends. I'm an extrovert. I find it really easy to meet new people, but in America, it was very, very difficult. I relocated to a country where I did not know anybody. I actually knew one of my coworkers that I met in India. So when I relocated there, I tried to make friends. I made friends with coworkers, which was really, really nice. And I was also trying to make friends outside of work. So I tried to download applications such as Bumble, such as, I don't remember I downloaded like few applications on my phone that allow you to meet friends. And I would meet friends, but it was really difficult to keep in contact with them because I felt that I had to work hard to be their friend. And I'm like, I don't need to work to be your friend. If you want to be my friend, be my friend. Else, if you don't want to, then whatever. You know, and also looking back at it now, I understand that if you grew up in a place, you go to college with the same people, you start working and hang out with the same people, there's no need for you to make new friends because you already have your support structure. So if a new person comes in, you're not gonna give them as much attention as somebody who's also relocated to a place. So if you meet somebody that just relocated, it's gonna be really easy for both of you to bond and be friends. The second thing I wish I knew before I relocated to America is sales tax. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was so crazy. So in South Africa, when you go to a store, maybe like a restaurant, or you go to buy something, if something is converted $10, I'm gonna pay exactly $10 for whatever that thing is. But in America, that's not how it works. If something is $10, you have to add tax to it. You have to add a tip to it. So if something is $10, you may end up paying $15. So you have to budget for more than you actually want. So like, I remember this one time I was sitting in a restaurant and I was looking at a menu and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. It's like just like $50 for a meal, that's okay. And I ended up paying like 60, 70 bucks because like you have to pay like a tip for like 20%, which is like, for me it was very, very new. And like for me, I was just like used to paying the price that I see because our value added tax is added to the actual final price that they display. But anyway, that was like very, very shocking for me. Actually, that leads me to the next one. So the third thing that was very shocking for me is tipping. So paying tips in America is mandatory. So it was crazy for me because in South Africa, you tip somebody if they've done an extraordinary work or if you want to. It's like not a thing that you should definitely do. But In America, I was very surprised that like you have to pay 10%, 18%, and 20%. Sometimes if you are in a large group, they would pre-put the tip in your bill for 22% or 20%. And for me, that was like mind-blowing. I'm like, but I need to be the one that says this is how much money I actually want to tip. But like, yeah, I actually talked to a friend of mine about this, and I was asking her, I'm like, this is very strange for me. So she explained it to me. She said that the reason tip is mandatory, it's not really mandatory, it's like mandatory in quotes in America, is because they don't get paid as much. And also most places don't have minimum wage. So people rely on the tip for them to live. So I definitely understand that, but like for me initially it was like very, very surprising. The fourth thing that I wish I knew before I relocated to America is racism. If you are non-white and you are planning to relocate to America, be prepared to deal with racism. Be prepared to deal with stereotypes based on the color of your skin, based on where you're from, and based on your accent. If you don't know that you're black, or if being black has never been part of the conversation, Americans will remind you each and every day. They will make sure that you know where you stand in society. They will make sure that you know who they think you are. It's crazy. It was so mind-blowing for me that I grew up in South Africa during apartheid. And apartheid was a system, was a racist system that was bound to oppress people of color. And for me, it's mind-blowing that the most racism that I have received, that I have experienced in my life, was in America. In America, a guy does not feel ashamed to come to you and say, hey, don't talk to me, I don't talk to black people. What most people don't understand about racism is you can have friends that are black and still be racist. You can have children that are black and still be racist. Racism is an ideology or an opinion that you have built in your mind that you feel superior to the other person just because of the color of your skin. The bad stereotypes that you have about people that don't look like you makes you racist. Just because I'm black, it doesn't mean I'm a criminal and automatically stupid. I used to get offended, honestly. I used to get offended a lot initially. I used to cry. I have videos of myself on Instagram crying because of the treatment I was receiving in America. But at the end of the day, I sat back and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna make these people have this much power over me. I'm gonna be the better person. I am not gonna adhere to their level of stupidity. I am going to ignore them, and if I don't have to say anything, I'm just not gonna say it. And if you don't wanna be my friend, then your loss. I don't get. I know I said racism, but I also received a lot of backslash from African Americans just because I'm from Africa. People would be laughing at me, saying bad things like, oh, you should go back home, you should go back to Africa. And I'm like, sis, we are fighting the same struggle. When they see me, they see you. Instead of fighting each other, can we just fight together? Anyway, next. Number 5. I wish I knew how expensive things were gonna be. Just as a side note, when you're relocating to a different country, don't convert. So I used to convert a lot. For the first year, I used to convert all the prices so I can understand the value of money. But me converting, it just made it very difficult for me to comprehend how much expensive things were. For an example, you would pay like $50 for a meal, which is more than 750 rands. That's a lot of money. That money feeds my whole family for a month, you know, and I'm just paying one meal. It was crazy. So yeah, I didn't like, I knew how expensive it was gonna be because my first visit to America was San Francisco, and San Francisco is one of the most expensive cities in America. So I was like, yeah, if it's the most expensive, so therefore other places won't be as bad. But even though they were not as expensive as San Francisco or New York, but they were still really, really expensive for me. Talking about how expensive things are, I went to do my hair once and they told me $250 to do braids in my hair. Okay, I'm gonna convert that pretty quick because that is a lot of money. And it is about 3,750 to just do your hair. And I'm like, in South Africa, I spent $10 to do the very same hairstyle. I went on YouTube and I learned how to do my own hair. So from now on, I braid my own hair because I don't have $250 to braid my hair. This is a good one. The other thing is, I wish I knew before I relocated to America, is how easy it is to have access to everything. So this is a good thing. I feel like America is built on convenience. So the first time I saw an ATM drive-through, I was like, how lazy can you be that you cannot get out of your car to withdraw money? And I was like, oh, that's like the worst. And then I saw somewhere somebody was telling me that they have a funeral home drive-through, and I was like, that's it, I cannot. Like, how you even lazy to go out and see your own person who just passed away that you're not gonna see again, just to pay respect to them, you're gonna drive through to that? That's just crazy to me. But anyway, I do like it though, because I remember during the pandemic, I never had to leave my house. Like, I got groceries delivered to my house. I mean, I live on an apartment building on the 6th floor. They would knock on the door and deliver my grocery at the door. I'm like, whoa, that is crazy. I opened a bank account online and they delivered the card to my house. When I bought my phone, they delivered it right to my door. Like, there's just so much convenience that is just so awesome that when I come back to South Africa, I'm like, oh, I have to go to a restaurant and get food. I know that South Africa has fulfillment services and delivery services, but they're not in that level. So that the convenience of it, it's like, for me, it's like, oh my God, how lazy can you be? But at the same time, when you have to use it, you just like, I didn't feel like going anywhere, and I can just get things delivered to my house. I can get clothes delivered to my house. The other thing that I wish I knew before I relocated to America is crime. So in South Africa, where I'm from, in South Africa, crime is a thing. So when I relocated to America, I was always on guard of my surrounding, always aware of what's going on with all my things. But I was like surprised when I would see people leaving their handbags on the table. They would leave a table unattended and go to the restroom. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, okay, if this was South Africa, you leave your handbag on the floor. By the time you're reading a menu, your handbag is gone. Before you even finish reading the menu, your handbag is gone. If your handbag is not gone, your cell phone is gone. Do you understand? Like, you don't leave anything behind. In South Africa, there's no such thing as lost and found. It's finders are keepers. Okay? So for me, being like that was like very like, oh my God, what's going on? Everybody was just so free. Everybody in town, like I was in New York, and in New York everybody was like on their phones. People were like having like gadgets and like rings, and I'm like, oh my God, people wear rings in town, like they don't get mugged. What? Like, it was like so mind-blowing for me to see that. I was just like, wow, this is cool. The ninth thing that I wish I knew before I relocated to America is how cheap it is to travel from America and within America. So I was very shocked to find out that the flight from Johannesburg to New York and back is not the same price as the round trip from New York to Johannesburg and back. The South African one is thousands more expensive, hundreds more expensive, which is very, very crazy. And the other thing that I realized is traveling within the US was also cheap. I also think because the gas is really, really cheap. Gas/petrol it's really, really cheap. And so then it's much easier to travel. And it was so mind-blowing for me that it's so cheaper to travel from America, but people don't travel. I'm like, and when I realized that, I started traveling everywhere. Like, I'm telling you, I would book a flight to go to a different country for less than $500. I cannot go anywhere outside of South Africa for less than $500. Like, that's just crazy. And that's a round trip. That's just insane. So like, yeah, I would like travel to like all over the place because of how cheap it actually is to travel from America to anywhere. So the last thing, I decided to add this one because of a funny story I'm going to tell you guys now. So the last thing that I wish I knew before I relocated to America, which is a benefit for America, I guess, is load shedding. There's no such thing as load shedding. Actually, people don't even know what load shedding is. So for you who don't know, consider yourself lucky. So load shedding I don't know if it's a South African thing, but it's an electricity or power blackout. So basically they deliberately shut down electricity at different places to reduce the load. And also, yeah, to reduce the load because they cannot sustain the demand and supply. So that's what load shedding is. Actually, the funny story is, so I'm currently working from South Africa right now, but I'm working on the US times, and we had a load shedding at my house, and when the electricity shut down, I didn't have internet anymore. My Wi-Fi was off, and there was nothing I could do. I had to go to a gas station to work until like 2 a.m. in the morning. It was crazy. But anyway, thank you so much guys for watching. Those are the 10 things I wish I knew. Let me know in the comment section below, what are the 10 things what are the things that I mentioned that you didn't know, and what are the things that were shocking for you, what are the things that were interesting for you, what are the things that you were just like, oh my god, I've experienced the same thing, or I had somebody saying they experienced the same thing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video, and cool.